and welcome to the first episode of Talking Movies with myself, Nick. Now, usually I just do movie reviews, but as I follow so much that goes on with the film industry as well, I thought I would do a new show that focuses solely on the news stories that I think matter in movies today. So we start this first episode with some sad news. Just before I started recording this episode, I found out about the passing of actor Paul Reubens, who was most famous for playing Pee Wee Herman since the late 70s at the age of 70. I was a big fan of Pee Wee Herman growing up. I loved watching Pee Wee's Playhouse, even though I was probably too old to really be watching it in the 90s, as well as his Pee Wee Herman films. But outside of Pee Wee Herman, he did act in other films, as other characters, most notably in Batman Returns, in Matilda, in Blow, and as the Spleen in the superhero comedy Mystery Men, a film that was probably a little bit ahead of its time. But Pee Wee Herman is the character that most people will know him for and remember him for and have fond memories of. And the news of him passing was seriously shocking to me, but also made me feel really sad, much sadder than I actually thought I would be. Pee Wee Herman was such an entertaining character for people of all ages. That was the great thing. In the same way that Rowan Atkinson does it with Mr. Bean, Pee Wee Herman was a character that appealed to people from the age of 1 to 100. Just a really interesting, funny character, and those films are great as well. Even his latest one, Pee Wee's Big Holiday, which came out on Netflix in 2018, showed just how much life was still in that character, and it's sad that we will not see his character again, and my thoughts go out to the friends and family of Paul Reubens. So I've only just reviewed the film for Walking Movies, and you can see that video on this very YouTube channel, but it was revealed today by Paramount that there will be a sequel to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. No release date has been given as yet, but it's good to see that the film, which has actually yet to open in most parts of the world, is getting a guaranteed sequel. Far too often we go and see these films and leave there wanting more and wondering if we will actually get more. But, this is one of the rare times to actually announce it the weekend before it comes out that we definitely will. And having now seen the film, without spoiling my own review, I really want to see a sequel. So I'm delighted by this news. So I'm going to move away a little bit now from the big screen to the small screen, because it was revealed this week by Disney in Australia that after the release of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, there will be no more physical media released in that region. Now, I heard this story thanks to my friends down on Dis Down Under, who host a Disney podcast from Australia, and the news was really disturbing to me. Whilst it's not affecting me in any way right now, this is a sign of things to come. As we see companies like Paramount, Disney, Universal all have streaming services and try and drive up those numbers, we're left with this quandary now. What do we do? Do we subscribe to all these streaming services? Do we buy physical media? But that option's being taken away by Disney for our Australian fans. So what does that mean for the rest of the world? Is this a test to see if they can stop doing it? Now, over the years, sales of DVDs and Blu-rays have gone down. That's fact. But there is still a market for them. And the problem I have with streaming services is if they've got what you want to watch, it's great. You can, switch it on and watch whatever content you want to watch. But, if you've got a pretty bad internet connection, if your internet goes down, you can't access those services. You can still put a DVD or a Blu-ray into your player and watch it on your TV. And what happens, like with what Disney Plus have been doing recently, they just remove content. There are shows that they made specifically for that platform, like Willow, which lasted about 6 months. They've been taken off the streaming service, and you can no longer watch it anywhere, in any way, because that never got a physical release. And on top of that as well, what about the quality of your content? If you're streaming over the internet, even if you've got a really good internet connection, the picture quality isn't quite as good as it would be on a Blu-ray disc. And the sound's not as good, and you get less extra features, you know, all these things. So to hear that Disney are looking to stop distributing physical media in Australia is concerning, and something that I don't want to see repeated elsewhere. There is a petition that my friends have created that you can sign up to. It doesn't matter if you don't live in Australia, you can still sign the petition, because we need to tell these big companies that we want to have a choice, because that is what we're going to have taken away from us if physical media goes completely. So fight for your right to physical media, sign the petition, keep buying Blu-rays and DVDs. It's the only way you know that you have got the ability to watch something. If you rent stuff or buy stuff on Apple or Amazon to stream, you've got those films until they take them away from you. You don't own them. If you've got a physical object, they can't take it away from you. So, you know, if you've stopped buying physical media over the last few years, now's the time to get back into buying it. And finally, for this episode, I thought we'd take a quick look at what's happening at the box office right now. Barbie, in its second weekend, took another $93 million in the US alone, a drop of just 42%. Incredible stuff. In my review on Walking Movies, I was concerned that maybe after the buzz had died down a little bit and people realised it wasn't really a film just for kids, that the box office might drop. But I mean, it did drop, as all films do, but a 42% drop in 93 million is incredible, and it's now done 781 million worldwide. It's soon going to pass the $1 billion barrier at the box office, which is such positive news for Warner Brothers, but also for the cinema industry as a whole. It is still really busy in my local cinema. When I went last night to see Turtles, it was still busy, and Mondays are never busy at the cinema when I go. Also, Oppenheimer is still keeping up as well. $46 million in its second weekend in the US, 44% drop week on week, and now at $406 million globally. Again, this is a film that when they announced it, I was curious to see how it would even make back its budget. And thanks to the Barbenheimer kind of meme culture, it's done exceedingly well. And I'm glad, because it is a good film that deserves people to go and see it on a big screen. But with that said, there was one big new release in America this week, and that was Disney's Haunted Mansion. With a budget of around about $100 million, it opened at $24.2 million. This is another film that's opened poorly for Disney, who are on a pretty big run at the moment. The only film that's opened anywhere near decently was Guardians of the Galaxy. Everything else has been under their own expectations. This is massively under its expectations as well. I always thought a July release date for a film about the Haunted Mansion ride was a weird time to release it. You would think Halloween would be more appropriate, but of course it's very obvious to me that Disney are doing this so that they can have the Haunted Mansion on Disney Plus in time for Halloween. The reviews have been mixed. I've seen some people love it, some people hate it. I'm curious to see what happens when I get to see it on the 11th of August. I'm going to remain optimistic. You know, the trailer looks good, the cast is good, and I want the film to be good. But this has got to be worrying Disney. I don't know what they need to do to fix their box office situation at the moment. The only thing that I think they can do is stop telling people that their films are going to Disney Plus very soon, because I do think that is keeping people away from going to the cinema. You know, if you can see a film 2 months after it gets a cinema release date, as an example, are you going to spend all that money to go and see it at the cinema, or are you just going to wait for it to hit your Disney Plus at home? And I think that's really coming back to bite Disney now, and they need to really change things up in order for things to get better for them. And so that's it for the first episode. Thank you very much for watching. If you don't already, please subscribe to the channel and like these videos. It really helps other people find them, and I'd appreciate it if you could share this on social media as well. Everything helps with people to find my content. Is there anything that you want me to cover in future episodes? Are there any ideas for segments that you want me to do? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you on the next video.